What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. I'm in the wrong place. I was over there.
Did you see the shock in my face?
I was over there. What's going on? What's going on?
Stole the throne.
I know, man. I know. But get back in the middle. You know, Owen in the middle.
Sorry.
Yeah. Get back in the middle. Big up Cam coming through. Happy New Year, bro.
Cheers, Wax. Yes, not the best starts of the year in isolation, but we throw it soon. So
yeah, like it caught up with you, mate. It was your time. It was your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome everyone. Good evening. Let us know where you're watching from. I hope you guys are safe and sound. Smash a like on the video if you're on your way in, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is the latest transfer review. We done one this morning. Talking about the dressing room and loads of leaks coming out. It's all going off today at Man United. But the biggest thing from today has definitely got to be this Neves link. Neves 50 million. With Manchester United looking interested in taking Neves amongst a couple of others. And Wolves potentially saying that, look, if you do want him, the package will be 50 million. Just some of the quotes that I've seen from today. Man United remain keen on Ruben Neves and are open to the possibility of making a bid this month. Wolves are understood to be ready to listen to offers and have indicated to his intermediaries that they would sanction a deal if their asking price is met. So there's some stuff on that. There was another one as well that was from Alex Crook, and he's from TalkSport, and he says Man United were keen on signing Neves last summer, which we did kind of see for a little bit and disappeared, didn't it? And could make an attempt to prize him away from Wolves this month. Wolves would demand a package of upwards of £50 million. And there was an exclusive kind of from the Sun as well. But we don't normally kind of go in there. But a lot of people have reported it today. Cam, I mean, we'll all have our say in a minute. From a player standpoint, Ruben Neves, is he someone you would like? What are you saying to that?
I think if we were looking to play a bit more like City, possession football, keep the ball a lot, and we're looking for a number 6 who is really, really good on the ball, then yeah, he's a fantastic player to have. But I think now with the way things are looking, at least under Ralph Rangnick, it's not really so much about keeping the ball and playing that sort of maybe a bit slower football. It's more about, he's talked many times about heavy metal football Jurgen Klopp plays, and he said that Ralph Rangnick said himself, his football isn't a slow waltz. So he's not after the sort of player that dictates and sort of basically conducts the orchestra. He wants players who can win that ball back, be aggressive, they're mobile, they're physically strong players, they're quick, they're so good at driving forward with the ball and moving the ball forward quickly. And that's not really what Ruben Neves does. The other players we've been linked with so far since Rangnick's come in, likes of Hairdryer or Haidara, however you're supposed to. I don't know.
Yeah, linked with him again today, and Kamara, yeah.
Yeah, and Kamara as well. Those sorts of players are more in the mould of Fred and McTominay. They're really aggressive, high work rate, quick players, strong players. They're good physically, not so good on the ball. Whereas Ruben Neves, his biggest strong point by a long, long way is what he can do on the ball. His passing range is fantastic. A really good striker of the ball on both feet. Defensively, he's okay. But again, defensively, he's a bit like, I guess, Jorginho in a sense, that you need to put players around him. You need to close the gaps around him because he's not able to cover all that space on his own. So he's not, even if we were still looking for that City system for a defensive mid who can control the game, he's not a player that you can just leave there as a single pivot and let him do all the defensive work. He's not good enough for that. He's not mobile enough for that. His reading of the game isn't quite good enough for that either. So, to be honest, even if we were playing a system a bit more like City, I don't know what problem Ruben Neves solves. So I don't see the point in signing him. I don't think he solves a problem in Rangnick's system. And obviously that's the most important thing, because that's what we're doing at the moment. I don't really see him solving a problem in any other system either, to be honest. So for me, it's not really a useful signing.
Really interesting thoughts there. And you know what? I thought I might be one of the only ones who would bring a different side to the argument. I'm not sure. David Lee says Basuma would be my choice. Kevin Britt says we need the Neves going to do a deal, and Neves or Basuma getting one of the two this window will help us, really help us, man. Can change a lot, says Prime. What are you saying, Owen, on it? Actually, sorry, let me just get the super chat out before you do. Red Baron says, Owen, 100% agree with your video this morning. I'm fed up with these players. Get rid of them all, losers. Wow, all the way from this morning. Red Baron's still angry, man. Like a lot of us, we can see what's going on. Yeah. What are you saying that?
I don't know, Flex. I mean, I I was saying this the other day after the game, in that I look at how we're playing at the moment, and this is a very defeatist mindset. So I'll get this out of the way quickly and move on to something a bit more positive. But I feel like at the moment, the way we're playing, I mentioned this before, like you could pick players out of, say, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, drop them into our side, and even then I think they play bad. Like that's kind of like that's like the feeling at the moment, isn't it? Like it's not as if we don't have good players at Manchester United. We do. We have some great players, but they're all just playing terrible. That's why when I look at people like Neves, or look at people like, you know, you mentioned Basuma, you look at Kamara, Haidara, whoever it may be, I look at it and I say, it's bigger than a recruitment issue at this point, isn't it? That's
what James Dixon says there. I think that's an input. Is it wrong that I don't have a clue if I even want us to sign a player anymore? We seemingly take quality players and lower their standards.
And that sounds crazy when you say it. When you that sounds crazy.
But you get what he's trying to say.
But it's true. But it's kind of true in that, again, there's like a mentality issue. And I look at someone like Neves. Would I want to sign RUBEN Neves? Sure, he's a great player. We saw him play against United the other day. Dictates the tempo. The reason I'd be interested at the moment is because on Monday, I didn't see anyone that could pass the ball 5 yards.
Yeah.
Let alone, 20, 10, 15, spray the ball around, dictate the tempo. So looking at Monday's performance, would I like to have someone in there that can pass the ball? Absolutely. Of course I would. Yeah. But then also I look at Monday and I say, okay, Neves as a 6, deep line playmaker, certainly isn't a ball winner, certainly isn't going to bring energy. So I look at that and I say, well, what style of football or what role or what qualities does RANGNICK want from his 6? And Neves doesn't really fit with that. Neves doesn't fit unless you change the system. But again, these are kind of questions where you look at it like, and then you start getting really like, tinfoil hat. You go, oh, we had a bad performance. You had some leaks coming out, people unhappy. We'll buy RUBEN Neves. We can talk about that. Talk about that for a few hours, and then people stop talking about that the players aren't accountable. It's like it's everything. It's spaghetti throwing at the wall. Let's see what sticks. Whether it's because this morning, that's what I was saying this morning, and it's what Red Baron was kind of referring to. We start saying actually here, maybe the players need to be held a bit accountable. Maybe the players' work rate and desire, maybe all that needs to be held into question. Then suddenly, what is it? Suddenly, it's everyone else's fault. Suddenly it's everyone else's fault. Suddenly it's maybe we're a bit underwhelmed by Ralph Rangnick's tactics and his training. We're a bit actually underwhelmed by the assistants. We're a bit underwhelmed by the assistants that he brought in. We're on a later schedule now. That's a bit frustrating as well. All this kind of stuff. And it's like, when will it stop? Oh, it's because we didn't have someone like RUBEN Neves. That's why. Yeah. And that's why and I kind of see what the point is there when it's like, Neves, you go, cool. I'd sign RUBEN Neves, but he's going to make a difference. It's a bigger problem.
I'm where Tharish says Neves is a welcome addition, but not the final answer. I agree with what Cam was saying. I didn't want to be a bit of a party pooper. Obviously when people hear a little bit of news and you kind of flock to social media and you're like, yeah, RUBEN Neves, it's something new. He's better than McTominay on the ball, definitely. Yeah, he can pass better than Fred, probably shoot better than both of them, 100%, and all this stuff. Although McTominay got like 6-7 goals last year, to be fair. I don't know how many Neves got, but sometimes you can be blinkered into that. But you look at him, and I think everything what Cam said is right, because I was looking at it thinking, okay, let me just instead of just getting excited because it's a shiny new toy and we're in disarray right now. And like you said, Owen, when you look at how Neves played against us and how our midfield couldn't even make 5-yard passes, you're like, I'd put him in there with McTominay any day. But I think that's too easy to do. In terms of the system, I look at how Wolves play. Look at João Moutinho, right? He can't run. He can't run around the pitch, and he's not combative. He's a hell of a footballer. He's very, very smart, and he's very, very technically gifted on the ball, and he knows what to do with the ball because he's experienced. But that system, it works for Neves and Moutinho. They only play 2 central midfielders in there. Are you trying to tell me that in a 4 you could just play Neves and Moutinho against some of the most combative midfielders in the game? Of course not. If they played a 2, like a 4-3, a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 or something like that, and you had Neves and Moutinho as your double pivot, Wolves will get ripped apart. Because they play the 5, which is really aggressive. You've got the high fullbacks that can kind of add on to that 4-man midfield if you want. The 3 centre halves just behind that. Because it masks what they're not good at, which is, tenacity. And when they do win back the ball, it's as a result of their system creates like areas where they're close together so they can intercept things and get themselves playing. It isn't necessarily like a Kante, isn't necessarily you know, even like a Fred who runs around everywhere, can nick it off people and get about the pitch. So I like Neves, but what would Neves do now for us in a 4-2 in a 4-2-2? Okay, it would take for our players to start playing in a way that we haven't seen. So the pressing from the front, the pressing from the 2-10s is on point, so that maybe you could say Fred next to a Neves can go and run around, and then you can leave Neves to do his thing. But I don't know, man. I feel if Neves walked into our team tomorrow, we'd end up saying, oh, you know, we thought Neves was going to be X, Y, Z. He's getting dispossessed because the system's not right. And this,
Donnie's
just feels like
next to him and goes, "Come sit down, brother. Come sit down. You want a bit of chewing gum?" And then we have the conversation for 6 months. Why won't Neves play? Why aren't they playing Neves? And then it's like, well, we can't fit into this system or whatever. Then you have the conversation once again of, well, why do we buy him then? Why do we buy him? You know.
Well, Benil says Flex Moutinho doesn't get protected by a back five. Stop chatting waffle. You only watch Wolves twice versus Man United. No, whenever Wolves play, I do try and watch him. And I've seen him obviously at international level as well. Everyone knows about João. Well, if you know your ball, you know about João Moutinho. You tell me, Benil, then what his best attributes are, because it's, for me, when you look at it, it certainly isn't getting around the pitch and tackling people. He's not an out and out defensive midfielder. He's a player who in transition can be good. He can pass the ball forward. He can dictate the tempo when he's got time and space. And I feel like he's in a perfect system which suits him. That's what I feel. Cam, I mean, Benil saying that he doesn't get protected by a back five. Does he have a point? Do they have a point?
I think he's massively protected by a back five. I think the team to look at is Chelsea and Jorginho. I think Ruben Neves as a player, you can make comparisons with Jorginho. They're both very good on the ball, and that's by far their best attribute. They're both the sort of player that need to be on the ball, but defensively they can't be left controlling huge spaces because they're not mobile enough, they're not quick enough, they're not physical enough to win it back. Yes, sure, if you put them in the right structure where there's players around them, they can get in the right place and intercept because they've got a good reading of the game, but they're not players that can be left to cover up after a massive press. And you look at Chelsea, they play in a very similar way in the sense they've got the three centre-backs behind to shore things up. They've got one sort of that controls the tempo and another one alongside that gets about a bit more running. The embarrassing thing though with Wolves really against us is that in some games when they have a bit more respect for the opposition, they go with three centre mids. But teams against us now, if they're playing that system, they can play with two and they're not going to get.
Yeah, sometimes they play with two up front instead, don't they? And and do it the other way around. Yeah.
Exactly, and teams know now that United aren't anything to worry about. If they're playing City or Liverpool, they go with three centre mids and two up top.
Yeah, they'll go with Dendoncker, Neves, and Moutinho is what they. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and teams don't have that respect for United anymore. But I think with Neves, again, if he comes to United, this United team right now, it's built on physicality, it's built on pace, it's built on power. That's just the way.
It wants to be built on that.
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's what whenever we look to set up, they're normally the strongest attributes of whatever team we put out, and that's why you get tactical players like Donny van de Beek, where he's not incredibly quick, he's not incredibly strong, he's not that powerful, he's not the sort of player that's going to carry the ball 50 yards on a run, a driving run in the way that sort of a Pogba or McTominay can. They can drive forward with the ball. That's not Donny van de Beek, that's not Ruben Neves. Players like that can come to United and they won't get a minute because it just doesn't fit how the rest of the squad's built. This squad is built to be quick, to be powerful, to be decent in transition. And so I think unless you change the whole principles that the squad's based on, and that means selling sort of 10, 15 players and getting 10, 15 new players in to completely change it, you can't then just drop in technical players. You're going to have Ruben Neves would come and sit on the bench. He'd play a few games and you'd realise all of a sudden, okay, if assuming we actually started pressing at some point, the front four would press. The sixes then, sometimes they're there to finish off the press, win the ball back in midfield. Sometimes their job as the sixes is they've got to cover because the opposition have broken our press and they've got to be the ones to sort out the issue, to go and sprint in, make a foul, and solve the problem. Ruben Neves can't do that. You put him in.
What about what Red MC says? He says, "Come on, man. Neves will run the show. He will control games." And he also says, "Ralph wants to control games, and that's exactly what Neves will do." This is good because a lot of the community is saying He is what we need. And some are saying
like I've seen some of those comments that are saying, and don't get it mistaken, I don't think any of us, well, speaking for myself, I don't think any of us are saying that Ruben Neves is a bad player, or he wouldn't actively improve the Manchester United squad that we've got. Like, in terms of a technical passer, of course he's better than what we've got. But you always have to separate that. Is that a good enough reason for us to sign him, or
for 50 million as well?
Again, and this is the point I think that both of you are trying to make here, is that, okay, we sign him, but does he fit into how we play right now? Or if we sign him and we change completely how we play, great. If we're playing a completely different style of football that suits Ruben Neves, great. And again, we're not saying he's a bad player at all. I'm just saying, if you look at the performances and look how we've played under RANGNICK so far, I look at that and I say, how is he going to fit? And then if he doesn't fit, do we then have another player on the bench? That's another talking point, and it's another thing where it's like, when are they going to play? How are they going to play? Maybe we need to shift. How do we get the best out of him? And when it comes to what you were touching on earlier about Wolves are offside. We saw it. They press from the front really well. Really well. They press from the front. And they have those wide players and people like Raul Jimenez that press really well. So when, of course, Ruben Neves can join in at the press, but he's also then supported by 2 or 3 people that are also doing it. But that wouldn't happen at United.
Systems.
When have we been able to press it? Yeah, exactly.
It's all about systems. Like Ray Diaz says here, thanks for the super chat, Ray. Ray says, desperate for success that we hope anyone coming in will work. But sometimes it doesn't happen. Even if Neves comes in, McTominay will start, similar to what Cam was kind of touching on there. And another super chat here from Andrew C says, Flex, we are buying no one, and you know it. United are used as a pawn for transfer activity. Don't let these transfer spins detect from how bad we are. We definitely won't be doing that, Andrew. Big up yourself. We haven't forgotten what's going on. I think partly the reason why we're a bit skeptical about Neves arriving in January is because we remember how bad we are in this moment, and what this squad's mainly built off, and the type of players that we actively have right now as we're talking. So now, big up to you, Andrew. We definitely haven't forgot how bad we are. For me, if we go and spend £50 million on Ruben Neves, he's got to be the main. He's got to be the main midfielder. And that means you're saying when Pogba gets back, you want to get a tune out of him. Are you going to have a midfield of Pogba and Neves? Not me. I wouldn't. Like, I know it sounds good in FIFA terms.
It's systems, isn't it? It's systems.
Are they going to? I wouldn't leave those two in there.
Exactly. If they've got someone that's going to do the running and the tackling for them, then maybe if you do have an industrious ball winner, maybe that's where you put Fred in. Maybe that's how you get into a 4-3-3.
Someone said in the comments, we need two. Someone said in the comments, we need 2 Freds that can pass.
I mean,
is that too simple?
Frank Kessie is the type of
he's going to be
free.
I'd
be looking at. Exactly. He'd be a player that I'm looking at, again, that does have work rate, that does have an ability to win the ball, but he also does have the ability to actually be able to not only just travel with it. He is the actual top level box to box player. A top level box to box in that he can win it back, he can do jobs defensively, but also he can travel there and he can pass it, and he's got a shot at him. But I think, and again, I look at Ruben Neves and I go, is that a similar mold? Probably not. And again, also as well, this is how sort of, I guess, jaded at this point I am. I don't even know if I believe any of it. And just in general.
Yeah. Cam, how do you see it? I mean, it says Mitchell Ray says, which one is more likely, Neves, Kamara, or Hadara? I mean, it's really hard to. We don't look. We're not insiders and in the know. I'm not.
By the way, Flex, sorry to interrupt, but it's just come up on Sky. It says some Manchester United players doubt whether RANGNICK is the right man to be in charge as they struggle to adapt to interim managers' methods. That's just come from Sky in the last 2 minutes.
Do you know what? Yeah. This is why, and it pisses me off. This is why we need to go back to the players, and we talk about transfers here, right? Someone said that in a super chat. Actually, hold on, let me just put that up because they put that. Andrew C, big up. Flex, Sky Sports breaking news on RANGNICK. Look, I guess it's what you just said. Check New Sky Sports News. So, what did they say? Owen, read that out again, please. What did they say?
I'll read it out again. It says, some Manchester United players doubt whether RANGNICK is the right man to be in charge as they struggle to adapt to interim managers' methods.
What my thing is to this is, what is this? You had Mourinho, serial winner. I'm not saying these managers shouldn't have left, but let's just go through it. You boys had Mourinho, serial winner, give you a kick up the arse, won't just show you respect for no reason. You got to earn it off him, and he's going to be a bit of a bastard to you. Got him sacked. Yeah? We then went in a completely different direction because you all banged on the door to the Glazers or to Ed. You all ran down the door to Ed and said, "Oh, Mourinho's been horrible to us." Yeah. Then we go, "Do you know what? We're going to get you possibly the nicest guy in football." Yeah. We're not even going to pick him off of all of the stuff he's achieved as a manager. We're going to pick him because he gets what it's like to be a Man United manager. He's going to put his arm around you. He'll be nice to you. You get him sacked because it's crap, it's boring, it's this. And I'm not saying that, Ollie shouldn't have got sacked. He should have. Yeah. Then we get a whole batch of coaching staff in under Ollie with the likes of McKenna and stuff like that. And then we start hearing, oh, McKenna would be good, but with the younger players, we don't really like what he's doing. Then they leave, and then you say, right, I tell you what, we're going to get Ralf Rangnick. This guy's got a proven record of short-term kind of firefighting, building something for the future, and has some real kind of intricate stuff tactically in terms of running your ass off. And within, how long's he been here? When did Ollie get sacked? November?
Couple of weeks.
October.
I mean, it's what? It's beginning of December, roughly. Beginning of December.
Within 6 games of Ralf Rangnick, we're now hearing that the players are going down the corridor, not to Ed Woodward now, probably Richard Arnold or Matt Judge, whoever is running the ship now, and saying
journalists.
Or journalists, right? And saying, yeah, because they can't take no criticism, because, oh, God forbid if we start talking about players. So you're angry about that. You're putting in shit performances. And now we're hearing, we just don't like this guy either, to be fair. Like,
it's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. This is exactly what I was saying this morning. And you know what? I'm always glad this guy have come out and said that, because it's exactly what I was saying this morning. It's always someone else's fault. The moment actually the attention turns to, wait a minute, all these managers have come and gone, and these players are still here, and you're still doing nothing. You can't even pass the ball, you can't even run around or do anything like that. The moment it turns into actually it's their fault, you need to be held accountable. You need to try hard. You need to work hard. You need to work for the shirt. Suddenly, what does it become? Everyone else's fault. It's always everyone else's fault. Like you said, it's either Rangnick's fault, it's his coach's fault, it's the training's fault, it's the weather's fault, it's Mourinho's mean, Ollie's too nice, Van Gaal's too old, Rangnick doesn't know what he's talking about, these old coaches were crap, these new coaches are even worse. Why is it always someone else's fault?
Could you imagine Conte? You know how we all wanted Conte. Could you imagine
That's why I said
Conte
he wouldn't last. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Cam,
he's too harsh.
What's your assessment, Cam, of this continual leaks about, what's going on in the dressing room, players moaning, players not being behind this guy and that? What are you saying? Because what Luke Shaw said, it feeds into what's going on.
I mean, I don't understand how Luke Shaw could come out and say that, especially after his performance. He wasn't exactly good. It wasn't like he was on it. He was ready. He was aggressive. Against Burnley, the Sancho goal came because Luke Shaw was mentally switched on. He was so focused. That interception when he won that ball back, or that tackle, whatever you want to call it, he had to react at that exact moment, and he did. And that's exactly what Rangnick wants to see. He wants to see you being aggressive, mentally really switched on, and go as soon as you get the chance. And then 3 days later, the exact opposite happens from every single player, bar Phil Jones, who's got a point to prove. I don't understand how you can have that big of a change in 3 days. Even you can forgive them if they're reacting at the same time, but just getting there a little bit slower because they're tired. Possibly then at least you can see some sort of progress. But they're not. They're not even reacting. They're just standing still, ignoring the signs, and mentally they're just not at it. And the irritating thing is, as you say with the coaches, McKenna first, now Ralf Rangnick, and obviously all the previous coaches as well, they're complaining about the training methods. At this point, they must have, surely by this point, they must have had the coaches that have done pretty much every single variation of drill that you can do in football. Because there's only a certain amount of ways you can put some balls, some cones, some goals, and some people on a pitch and get them to do something. What are they expecting? Are they expecting what? The next coach to come in town to play rugby? Like, I don't understand what they want from a coach. It's ridiculous. They're complaining about every single thing. And you get the rumours that it's that they're a bit unhappy that they're going to have to go home in the dark. They're unhappy that there's now booths in the canteen. Who has done this? Surely the players have had some input into how their canteen's designed. They must have at some point. You're not going to redesign a canteen for your first team of a professional football club and not ask the people who are going to use it what they want.
And who cares? Canteen. It's lunch.
Exactly. You're not going to
I don't pay to eat lunch. I don't pay to eat an omelette. I pay to train, play on the pitch. Imagine you're getting paid. And again, it's not a money thing, but imagine you are an elite. You play for Manchester United. You play in the Premier League. You're an international footballer. You've won shit. And the biggest thing you're complaining about, I can't sit with my mates at lunchtime. I'd say get out of the training ground. Are you serious?
Do you know what? Do you know what gets me about this, Owen? Do you know what gets me about this? Is a lot of these players ain't won shit. Actually, when you deep it,
you're a league final, mate.
Like we've won bang average trophies, the ones that we used to laugh at as Man United fans. Let's just get this straight: Carabao Cup and Europa League. Not being disrespectful, at the point of winning them things, they were supposed to be stepping stones under Jose to then push on. Ain't won one since, so forget that. But now we're getting moaners from people who have actually not accomplished shit. What's Harry Maguire won in his career? Luke Shaw, what's he won? Apart from what we just mentioned. Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, Fred, Bruno. All right, he's in Portugal. Has he won anything in Portugal, Bruno, actually?
Nations League,
maybe?
He won the Nations League. I don't think
did he win the League of Sporting? They won it after he left.
After he left.
Rashford, same thing. Carabao Cup and Europa League. Mason, young kid. Ronaldo, okay, obviously he's won everything. Cavani's won stuff. But in terms of winners, and Varane, David De Gea has won a Premier League. How many winners are in that league? Matic has and won stuff and Mata, but they're not even kind of. I don't really class those as the problem, like, because they're just on the periphery half the time anyway. They're hardly playing.
Tell you what, Matic, we thought Matic would be all right after Burnley. He played quite well. Comes out on 3 days later, and if there's one player in that squad, one player in pretty much any position that you would trust to make a 5-yard pass reliably in a game, it's probably Matic. And every single one was 2 or 3 yards wide of its target. When it's even getting to him, that's when you know there's a real problem.
Andrew C says, Flex, this is beyond banter for us. Also, who are these leaks? Yeah, I want to get Rangnick thrown under the bus and now he could leave. How can he recover from this? It's crazy. United Sweden, big up to all the Swedish United fans, says, put the rats in the reserves and run their contract down. I'm done with the leaks and this players moaning, the mentality of these players. And from K Flow says, get rid of the lot. I'm tired of it all. I don't care if we play the under-23s and finish 10th. Clear the lot. Do you know what the irony of this is? Yeah, KG said to me in the last I'm Phil Jones. I did forget Phil Jones. He's won stuff. And look how he played. Look at his passion and desire to get about the pitch.
He cried.
I tell you what,
the pitch. Do you see that?
He did.
He cried.
Unbelievable. I didn't even see that until today.
It meant something to him. It meant something to him.
And you know what? We've all had, I'm not going to act like a saint. We've all had our little moments of doing the Phil Jones bit, laughing and all that. I kind of stopped doing that in the last sort of 9 months to a year after I started to kind of think, you know what, the guy's been through a lot. We need to give him some respect and just let him earn his place back. And he has. Gets paid to train, I get it. And it's not his fault he's got a contract. And when Ollie stuck up for him after Rio, that did kind of make me think a little bit differently. Anyway, he showed more in terms of running out to players, closing them down, turn of pace, firefight than Maguire has done since he's been unbelievable. But what I was going to say is the irony of this is KG said on the Flex and KG show yesterday, he goes, Ralph should be ruthless because Flex, he can't get sacked. He can't, they can't get rid of him. So he has to be here for that time. Just do the changes that he wants to do. And I look at it now, I think, I'll tell you what, they could hound him out. Then what happens? What if Ralph Rangnick goes, you know what? I know he's probably not going to walk, but it's a hypothetical. So he says, you know what? Sod this. Yeah, I didn't think it would be like this. He said he knows it's going to be a difficult job. I'm not saying Ralph Rangnick's going to bottle it and walk away. I don't think he will. I'm just saying. Imagine he does that. What would we do then? Who would we even get?
It's the Roy Keane principle, isn't it? It's the Roy Keane, and again, I'm not one of the people that's Roy Keane, profit, all this kind of stuff, because Roy Keane says a lot of stuff. But when he said it, when was it? About a year ago, whenever he said the whole thing about Leopards don't change their spots and all that kind of stuff, he said they threw Mourinho under the bus, they'll throw Ollie under the bus. This is why I keep saying, all of this noise, they can keep making all of this noise and they can keep talking about the training. They can keep talking about whatever. Don't let it distract you, because they're the one that are making the noise. They're the one that is constantly leaking. They're constantly, the training, all this and that. No. It's up to you to be held accountable. But guess what? And if the training isn't great, He's not going to be there to the end of the season. But surely at the minimum,
just
it should be right.
Hard.
Okay, exactly. Just go. It's not great at the moment, but I'm not going to complain because guess what? What I do for a living is a dream. I'm at the, for some people, I'm at my dream club. I'm going to push through it because I want to win things. So I still can win things this year. Heaven forbid we actually try and win something, and then maybe then go, well, he probably won't be there to the end of the season. But again, it's just this constant, someone else's fault.
I'm gonna read these super chats and then come to Cam and just kind of bring in a different part of the discussion to kind of look at a different side to it. Gabriel Noel says Jones won more than the 80 million centre back. These British players need benching for a month. Lindelof, Bailly, Ahmad, Elanga, and Donny should get more games. SK says the fans just need to back the manager. All this crap is a result of Player FC. Let RANGNICK carve out what he wants unless the board are holding him back. And United Sweden also says the only reason of us being hard on Jones was because we were comparing him with Vidic and Rio. Now we are comparing him to Maguire. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Cam, just to bring in a different side, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think it's important when you discuss things like this in this depth with this passion to look at both sides, right? It is important for players. Players are human beings. They go to work and you might not get on with people, and you can you might not like the environment you work in because the boss or the manager is rubs you up the wrong way. Is there a discussion point? Let me just pretend to be devil's advocate and be a player. I'm saying, guys, but you haven't been in there. The way he's asking us to run it doesn't make sense. He's quite bold and cold. Like, I try and talk to him, he doesn't really give me any assurances. The training's not. Everyone thinks he's come with this gegenpress thing and stuff like that, but when he sets out the sessions, it isn't like that at all. It's quite tedious and it's boring. Is there a point that we should, listen to that a little bit in terms of they just might not be getting on with him and the tactics don't suit the players and stuff like that? Is there anything to do with that?
I mean, I think I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I think to an extent, if you're working at a place where your results don't matter at all, where let's say you're working for a business, you're a salesman for a business, and maybe your manager wants you to do well, but at the top, the owners, the people that actually run the company, they don't care. They don't really mind whether you're making money or not. You're going to keep your job anyway. Eventually, at some point, everyone's just going to be like, you know what? There's no point me doing this or trying that extra thing because it's not going to work. And eventually, I feel like it's inevitable. Some sort of mediocrity is going to set in. You are going to realize there's no point. I may as well just accept my wage, do the minimum, and go home at the end of the day. I think whatever the guy in the middle, the manager in that situation, whatever they do, if the guy at the bottom, if the salesman knows that the company doesn't care, it makes no difference. He's not going to get sacked. He's not going to lose his job. There's nothing really and it will take us so much effort to get anything else, any extra reward. Then at some point, he's just going to accept what he is, accept being average, and go home. And I think maybe that's what's happened. Maybe we've said for a long time the rot starts from the very top, and it's pretty clear these owners have got no intention of matching Man City, matching Liverpool in the sense of success, not in the sense of Liverpool's owners, because they're not really any better either. But in terms of these owners don't care whether we put it this way, Liverpool's owners, for example, if they were finishing fourth every season rather than challenging for titles, they wouldn't care. They would accept that happily. Our owners are exactly like that. It's just so happens that Liverpool right now have got a freak of a manager who's insanely good, and they've recruited well because they've had a good sporting director, been able to sell players for a lot of money, use that to bring in players that are just about to take that next step, and they've done it well. That's what it's going to take for United. We'll have to now operate and get so lucky, get a really, really good manager at the right time and buy players who are just about to hit that world-class level. Fortunately, I think we can spend a bit more than Liverpool. The Glazers are a little bit, well, not the Glazers, the club makes a little bit more money, so I think we're able to do that. But at some point, I think if you've been at United long enough, it is that lack of any sort of any care at the top is going to filter down, and it is going to affect the players. And I think in terms of on the pitch, in terms of the training sessions, I think obviously gegenpressing, it's heavily built around running, and it's heavily built around focusing mentally. It's not so much about when, let's say the opposition start with a goal kick, they're passing it around between their centre-backs. I think at that moment, every player, it's pretty obvious that you need to go and press. What it's really about gegenpressing is that moment where there's a transition, where it's 50-50, where you've just lost the ball. Rather than being frustrated for half a second, you've got to be so switched on to instantly react, instantly go closer, close the space. Because
it's the changing of the conditioning of the mind in that moment, basically, more than anything.
Exactly. It's the conditioning of the mind. And doing that takes a lot of repetitions. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time being really hyper-focused to exactly what you're looking for. And sometimes drills that help you do that, it is difficult to generate those moments. Often it's going to be quite repetitive. That's just the nature of it. And I think at a moment when everyone's quite low anyway, if things are then quite repetitive, maybe that's causing a bit of a problem in the sense that they're just thinking this is getting a bit boring now. But that's the point. It's going to be. The whole foundation of gegenpressing is heavy metal football. It's not about being intricate with your passing. It's not about being subtle. It's about being really switched on, being powerful with your running, and being quick over those first few yards of acceleration. That's what it's about. And ultimately, in Rangnick's first training sessions, that's what he's going to be focusing on. So if they're not liking that, then I don't know what to say, really. That's what I don't know what else they're expecting. Whether they're probably looking at Chelsea and City thinking, and Liverpool thinking we can go and play football like that. They must be doing some amazing things
and not understanding the process behind it. Yeah,
exactly. That's the foundation it's built on.
John Whitson says, send home Martial. Apologies, I missed the super chat earlier. Thanks to David Lee for bringing that to my attention. John Whitson says, send home Martial, Van der Beek, Pogba, Cavani, Lingard for not wanting to be here. Sit Maguire, Rashford, Sancho, McTominay for being horrific. Call up Jones, Matic, Diallo, Alanga, Mengi, sign a CDM and striker. Enough is enough. I wanted to take this one because this is what the community is about. I love it. This is, when we're discussing things, I don't think we should shy away from people who have alternative views to ourselves. We might agree with. Kaka 2000 says, Flex, I'm a big fan of your channel, but I just can't watch and support this. Year after year, the Glazers have got you thinking the way they want you to think, go after the players and the coaches. Owen, I feel like Kaka's basically saying the real issue here is the Glazers. Where do you sit with seeing where we are at now, which is, we're talking about on the pitch, with performances, there's always stuff upstairs. But in terms of the pitch, do you think Kaka has a point to bring in terms of we're losing focus of what the real issue is? Or is this the right time to be saying, well, this is the players, etc., etc.?
Well, ultimately, of course, the Glazers are the ultimate problem. I don't think any United fan is not going to agree with that. But you also look at what can you fix now? What can you amend now? We can't get rid of the Glazers tomorrow. We wish we could. I wish I was like Thanos. I could snap my fingers and they disappear. But we can't. That's not going to happen.
Is that the guy who has
don't even start, Flex. I'm too angry. I'm too angry.
Sorry.
Don't even start. I'm too angry. He's a big purple guy with a weird chin and the studs. Yeah, forget it. Yeah, I wish that could happen, but it can't. What we can fix, certainly if you're a player, I mean, going to Cam's point, if you're a player, like, where is your self-respect? Everyone's been in jobs where they hate their manager. Everyone's had it. Everyone's worked for someone they go, tell you what, that guy's an idiot or that girl's an idiot. They don't know what they're on about. And they shouldn't be in that position, all that kind of stuff. But you have a bit of self-respect. You realize you're getting paid to do that. It's your job. You want to have some kind of, again, self-respect, pride in what you do. And you go, even though that person I'm working for is a complete tool, I'm still going to do my job to the best of my ability so that I can sleep well at night. And I can say, you know what I got paid for today, I earned that. I put in the hard work and I really earned that. I deserve that. You can moan. Put it this way, if you're really trying everything you can, then you can moan about your boss. Then you can say, I tell you what, I'm doing everything I can, but they're really, stopping me from doing what I'm capable of. That's when you can. But they're not. They're not. When you put in like the bare minimum and then you moan about the boss, you can then say, well, are you trying hard enough? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I've given absolutely everything I can today? And I think for a lot of them, the answer would be no. And again, go back to the Glazer point, of course they're an issue. They've always been an issue. From their perspective, they'll say, well, in the summer, even though it wasn't their money, it was the club's money, but in the summer, they'll say, well, we got Cristiano Ronaldo, we got Rafael Varane, we got Jadon Sancho. We try,
Well, at the beginning, again, when we got them signings in, yes,
we're going to win league.
No one was saying, "No, this is what the Glazers want. They want you to think we can win the league and get you good players that are really good." But your team goes backwards on the pitch. Don't get me wrong. We're always reluctant to give the Glazers credit. If they get us good players, we're like, well, you're the owners and you're rich, and Man United makes a lot of money. You should be able to go and get Rafael Varane for 40 million. You should be able to paint the stadium, give it a lick of paint. You should be able to put the 5G mask there or put Wi-Fi in the stadium. It's 2021, mate. 2022 now. So, I get it. I'm not saying, give them praise for sucking eggs. I get that. But I think to bring in the Glazer thing now when the players are, performing this badly, I mean, Joel Glazer, you can have your opinions on what the Glazers are, and we know that he's not the reason why Rashford's playing rubbish.
That's what I mean.
He's
if,
not
if
the
the Glazers
reason
went
why.
tomorrow, would Rashford score 30 goals in the season?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
He's
like,
not
that's
the reason
illogical.
why
It's almost
Wan-Bissaka
unrelated.
can't keep the ball on the pitch. That's not, well, Joel Glazer probably sanctioned the deal to actually buy him, so you could say that. but you know what I mean, though? Like, in this moment, the reason why we're playing terrible is not because of that. Let me get through the super chats and we'll carry on. Mav says, maybe this is the plan to get Fletcher in. Imagine that. Jesus. Fletcher is, like, really on the touchline doing a lot, and I'm like, rah. What's he actually... Is he in the back room doing that? Or is he's like there, front line next to Ralph, barking orders. He's in the warm-ups. Yeah. Salted Caramel says players throwing Ralph under the bus is good, but Ralph isn't going anywhere. We need a reset, get rid of players like Shaw and Maguire, start fresh, like Liverpool did with Klopp. And MUFC now says, for me, it's the players. They got so used to the freestyle football and the vibes that now Ralph is trying to form some kind of structure. They have thrown the toys out. Hashtag players stand up. Yeah, because if the players are so affectionate to Ollie, why didn't you run around then? Why didn't you play well then? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you don't like this guy and the guy before who you do like? You're still playing as shit as this. No, was playing worse. Was conceding 4 against Leicester, 4 against Watford, 5 against Liverpool. Like, what do you mean? Santiago says, no coincidence we see similar problems with the Bucks. Bosses are the ones who instill culture into the organization. People quit bad bosses, not jobs. And oh yeah, there's one there. Another super chat here. Shamari says, massive problem. Social media FC looking for clicks, etc. Look on Insta today. Throwbacks to Ander Herrera. They know people will comment for a CM. So Shamari kind of saying it's like that's what we've become, a bit of social. I mean, the other day, after the Wolves game, I think we had to do a compilation of Phil Jones. They put a compilation of Phil Jones, sort of saying, great to be back after 200 whatever days it was. And don't get me wrong, he played well, but that just shows where we're at. After a loss to Wolves, we had to put a montage of Phil Jones clearances in a game we lost. The Eagle Eye Football says, can you list all the players you would keep now? Yeah, we'll do that actually in a little bit. Cam, is a reset needed where we get rid of a bunch of players then? Because we always say that thing of, well, you can't sell 22 players, but you can change the manager. You know that saying, like, you can't get rid of a big bunch of players. But like, what is it now? What is this? We're in the mud. I
mean, I try and think
we're
about other
so
clubs.
effed.
Yeah,
Flex has just come to a mode of realization.
Like, we're so fucked. Like, it's not. I don't like against Villa on Monday. How do we just instantly start playing good? This is not going to happen.
The thing for me is I try and look back to other clubs that have had similar problems recently, and the only one I can think of that's had like a cultural problem as bad as this seems to be at United is Arsenal. But at Arsenal, they had David Luiz just publicly being a clown and Aubameyang just constantly missing training, all that sort of stuff. That was happening publicly. Here, we've not really got any particular...
And Arteta's even started to redress that. He got rid of a lot of them and now brought the youngsters in, and look at them now.
Took a while, but the thing is for us, we've not really even got we've not got anyone to point a finger at publicly, being like, you're a clown, you're just constantly pissing about in training or whatever. There's nothing there's nothing to point the finger at. I think the first step for Ralph Rangnick is find out who's leaking stuff. I think there was rumours last season when I think every game the lineup was getting leaked an hour before, or a couple of hours before they were supposed to be released. And so I think there was a point where Ollie put out a couple of fake lineups, and they must have found the source of the leak because it stopped right after that. I think Rangnick's got to do that. Keep track. However they do it, keep track of who it gets to. Yeah, keep track of whoever it gets to. And whoever it is, get them out of the club. Get them away from that first team. I don't care who you are in that first team. If you're leaking stuff like that, like all these details, out to the press, get out of the team. Because if you then get into that team and you're making mistakes, your first reaction is clearly going to be blaming it on everyone else. You're not going to take responsibility for your own performance. So I think there's been suggestions that it might be Dean Henderson because he's been pretty vocal in the past. He's been potentially involved in some stuff in the past, possibly. Not sure. That's just rumours again. Yeah. But whoever it is, get them out of that club, sell them. I think if we're coming on to who we'd keep at the club, it's not a long list, honestly.
Who would be yours? Who would you keep?
I'd get rid of all the goalkeepers, to be honest. That includes David De Gea. I think long term,
Really?
this is the first. Yeah, that includes David De Gea, and I can explain why. I think the guy to follow for this on Twitter, John Harrison. He's spent ridiculous numbers of hours analysing keepers in depth. He's a goalkeeper himself, goalkeeping coach as well. He's done all the numbers for it, all of other stuff, made his own models. And this is the first season in a long, long time that De Gea's shot stopping has actually made up for his deficiencies in other areas of the game. It's in general, you're better off being proactive as a keeper, because for every shot that you go out to clear, a lot of the time, no one will think about those shots. What could have happened if you didn't go out to clear it? But every single one of those that De Gea stays on his line for is an option.
I think Cam's internet was so disgraced that he said David De Gea.
Yeah, literally. I'm sure. I'm in
do you know what? Do you know what's really funny? How ironic is that? He drops David De Gea in there, which I was completely shocked. Oh, he's back. We thought your internet couldn't handle the David De Gea shout.
Oh, it might have been. I didn't realize I'd cut out. But yeah, no, it was.
You are really fuzzy though. I don't know. Your Wi-Fi is doing a bit of a madness at the moment.
Okay, hopefully I'll be back soon.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's just I think
he
was only first name because I went for keepers first, not because I think it's the biggest problem. But
people are saying you need a sin bin though. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, people can say that.
I'm telling you, as someone used to play, I got to stand up to David De Gea. It's unbelievable. He's been player of the season however many seasons. And look, we talked about stats the other day. You could talk about stats. At the end of the day, if David De Gea wasn't in goal, we'd have been conceding way more goals, and we have been conceding a load of goals as well. And also, my response would be, if you get rid of De Gea, who'd you bring in?
Okay, I mean, so why would you clear up? Yeah.
I can't argue with De Gea's performances this season. They've been brilliant. But what I will say is, every time David De Gea has had an exceptional season for United, we've really, really struggled. 16-17, we were not good at all. That was his last good season. And ever since then, his shot stopping has, between that season and this season, his shot stopping's not made up for his failure to claim crosses, his failure to get out and sweep stuff. And if you want a proactive team, a team that can defend with a high line, which seems to be what we're going for, you need a goalkeeper that can do that. And over the course of the season, as it's been proven statistically for the last number of seasons since 16-17, before this year, the vast majority of goalkeepers in the league save more goals by preventing shots, by going out and sweeping stuff, by claiming crosses, than De Gea does with his shot-stopping ability. So he may be a better shot stopper than the average keeper. And he is, by far. No debate.
So
he doesn't make up.
Okay. And to be fair, if you're just joining, Cam he ain't just only saying, I'll keep the lot apart from, he just started with the keepers, but we just went off on the I just to let you know, Cam, which you are aware, I'm going to say 100% of the comments do disagree with you. Oh, no, Tim Collins agrees. There's 1%. There you go. Big up Tim Collins. Just one. But listen, that is... actually, no, there's more than that, actually. Cam on facts. And someone else said it as well. Anyway, the general consensus
disagrees.
Yeah, exactly. but listen, that's this is what this is about. Everyone can come here and have their say in their opinion on what they believe. Let me just get through these super chats, Cam, and then carry on. 1 second for this loads here. Red Baron says Herrera was actually one of those players that would fit in our system and listen to all the instructions. Big up KG, my love for Ander is great. Ash says, did Arteta bring a new play and did it take time? Basically, are you suggesting that we need to be more patient? Vishal says, honestly, anything we can achieve with this lot is an accomplishment this season. A complete overhaul next season from the manager to players is the need of the hour. Only way to save the club. Super chat here from Keegan. And Keegan says, players really thought Ralph was out. Was a go out there and have fun manager. Rashford's lazy. McTominay and Fred inconsistent. Bruno Maguire and Greenwood entitled and Sancho's lost. And Biggie Third says, not just one player playing bad, it's all of them. Also, there is still no consequence for bad performances. Give other players a chance, change in midfield. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of consequence in terms of Bruno and Rashford. I agree. There was, but then you're looking at McTominay and Fred and you're not really still no Donny van de Beek. And another super chat here from Humphrey says, agree with the De Gea comment, but that's not where I'd start. Yeah, Cam just started with the keepers. We need a ball-playing keeper, but we've got bigger problems. Yeah, and I think Cam would agree with that. SK says, out, Fred, McTominay, Matic, Mata, Pogba, Lingard, Martial, Henderson. In, 2 from Neves, Kamara, Bellingham, Kessie or Tchouameni. These immediate things we can do. I think we can work on fullbacks later. Cam, carry on.
So yeah, well, I think I've made it clear why I get rid of De Gea. I think distribution as well. He's not particularly good at that. I think going through the rest of the squad, Wan-Bissaka's got to go. He's not a footballer. There's no way he can stay. Centre backs, the ones I keep: Varane, Lindelof.
Can you hear that?
Cam just said Cam actually said he's not. Cam said he's not even a footballer.
Not a footballer.
I
was a little bit. I saw your face when he said that as well.
Yeah, because it's a telling statement. But who am I? I'm just someone with an agenda against Wan-Bissaka, according to KG. But anyway. Okay, so Wan-Bissaka.
I think that's most of the fan base at this point, though. That's one. That one I probably won't get slaughtered in the comments for.
No, you won't.
But the rest, no. I think in centre backs, keep Lindelof and Varane. The rest of them, to be honest, they can go. He's not fit enough. Maguire, realistically, I think we made a mistake giving him club captain status, and I don't think he can ever really recover from that, because unless you strip the captaincy from him, which is going to kill his confidence anyway, I don't see him being able to sort it out and get back to his top level. So I get rid of Maguire as well. Left back, to be fair, left back I'd probably keep Shaw and Talent. I think that's decent enough. They're both decent players. They're both decent depth. In midfield, potentially keep Fred. I think, maybe keep Fred and McTominay, but they definitely shouldn't be starters. They've got to be second or third choice players at best. If they're on the bench, they're decent players. They're decent options in that area. Keep Bruno, 100% keep Paul Pogba. I think we don't realise yet how important Paul Pogba is. Pogba is probably one of the few players in this Manchester United team right now who could go into the Manchester City team, play in the way that Guardiola wants them to play, which is an achievement in itself, but also actually make them better. I think Pogba gets too much disrespect because we don't realise how good he is on the ball. And I think often when Pogba is playing and the team plays badly, Pogba gets blamed more for individual mistakes than other players tend to. So we see when the team plays badly and Bruno's had a bad game, sometimes from some people he gets a bit of a bad rap. Other people don't really criticise him. If Pogba's lost the ball a couple of times and the team's played badly, he gets slaughtered from all angles. Pundits calling him lazy, media calling him out for this and that, fan base hating on him. Pogba's so much better than he ever gets credit for. So I definitely keep him. Definitely keep Donny van de Beek. Definitely keep Jadon Sancho. Get rid of Rashford. Get rid of Martial. Rashford, I think we could be patient with him, but if a big offer came in, 70 million, I said it about a week before.
You said it before, yeah.
Terrible dive. If a big offer comes in for him, take it. Get rid of him. Get rid of Cavani, not because he's a bad player, but he doesn't want to be at the club, and he's 35, 36 years old. Ronaldo.
What are you doing? What are you saying?
I think Ronaldo, honestly, I think I'm not really bothered. I think he's only here for another year and a half anyway. If you want to keep him for that, keep him. If you want to get rid of him, get rid of him. I don't think it makes a big difference. If you get a big offer for him, obviously, I think I would say get rid, but you may as well keep him. Obviously, Mata can go. Matic as well, get rid of him. Who else is left in the squad that we haven't been decided yet?
I think
that's by the recall. By the recall.
Yeah, exactly. That is good. Andrew C says, flip that Cam. Flex clip the Cam Wan-Bissaka comment and send it to KG, please. I'm sure someone will do that. David Heen says, thank God Mr. Fax not running the team.
Yeah, a lot of people. No goalkeepers.
Yeah. We have no goalkeepers, yeah. And there was someone else. I want to make sure I get that. I've read that one already from SK. Fullbacks later. Yeah, we've done that one. Owen, do you want to quickly reel off who you would keep?
It depends if you want to be realistic or unrealistic, to be honest, Flex, because you can say, oh yeah, I'll get rid of Harry Maguire tomorrow, but we have to live
the
reality.
Unrealistic thing, we know it's not going to happen tomorrow. They're not going to sell him in January. Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just hypothetically.
You would get rid of Harry Maguire. You would get rid of Henderson. You would get rid of Wan-Bissaka. With the Fred and McTominay, it's almost difficult because you're working with the assumption that you're going to replace them, right? Because if we literally got rid of both of them, we wouldn't actually have any midfielder. Practically.
Yeah, which
is why they play so much. Yeah. So you probably would get rid of McTominay, I think. But again, we'd also have to, on the flip side, you'd have to look at getting in 2 or 3 midfielders to replace because we do have to replace him and the ones we don't have already. Martial, I think he's had his moment at United, and who knows what his future will hold for him. Maybe he will go somewhere else. To be honest, at this point, if he went somewhere else and he got really good, I'd feel good for him. Honestly, I would. I'd be like, it didn't work out for you at United. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
but he would go.
Yeah, I mean, Cavani's going to go anyway. Rashford, look, I know a lot of people are a bit sour on Rashford at the moment, and I'm included in that. I was criticising his performance. I've been criticising his performances recently. I do think people do maybe look past the good moments that he has had for Manchester United. I'm not going to be on the side of KG being like, oh, he's amazing, all that kind of stuff. I don't think he's a £70 million player. I don't think anyone's paying that. So that argument of if someone bid £70 million for him tomorrow, would you accept it? I mean, I guess so, because it'd be ridiculously overpriced, because it would be that's a crazy offer. But I do think he has something to offer. The Ronaldo one's an interesting one, isn't it? Because despite some of his recent performances and despite his age, you just know that if you pick Ronaldo up and say he had gone to Man City, you know for a fact he'd have got like 30 goals this season, 35 goals, easy. Because every single person in that team would be making sure they drive the ball to him. He'd be supported by other attacking players. And that's just kind of the problem, isn't it, with Ronaldo at the moment? Gone are the days, I mean, we kind of saw it in Champions League games, but gone are the days where he can just carry a team. It's just not happening, and that's why at the moment he tries, I think.
Especially not this one.
Yeah, he tries to get involved more than maybe he should do. He tries to drop deep. To be honest, he should just be sticking in the box. Stick in the box, stick between the two posts. We'll work it to you. We'll cross the ball in. We'll work it to your feet or whatever. But he's almost, because he's so frustrated and because we're so shit, he's trying to almost overcompensate, and he's trying to turn back the clock. But you can't fall Father Time, unfortunately, even Ronaldo. So I don't know. That's when it just comes with like United at the moment. Like I said, Flex. I look at it and I think about players leaving and players going. I mean, for RANGNICK or whoever it is, it's such a massive job. There are so many things to fix there. It's unbelievable.
Desporto says, Flex, what's with the Flamengo shirt? Obviously, I never wanted Pereira to leave. I thought we made a massive mistake.
Huge Pereira fan.
I've always rated him.
Huge.
So out of respect, I just I went to Brazil in 2018, and I bought a couple of shirts out there. I think as we get to the end of the show, it's like we started this.
We were talking about Neves.
Neves, would you think? And then, boom, you get one of them quotes and you just lose your shit a little bit, because you're just like, I don't know, man. I really look at where we are. Yeah. Big up Brush in the comments as well. I need to get your, what your prize is as well. I look at how far we are off anything that resembles successful. And honestly, I don't remember being as far away as this. We're getting further and further away. And it looks like we need another reset. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of like players moaning or not putting in performance who haven't even, these are not even guys who have been there and done it before. If they had a bit more mileage in the tank and a bit more of a reputation for really doing it, you'd probably have that little bit more patience to say, listen, this team won the league 2 years ago, or we only won the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Or this team was in a title race right to the death. But because I look around the squad and I'm like, a lot of them haven't even achieved that. There's more of a track record for it going wrong with managers, it going into turmoil and the manager leaving. And you know what? If this follows a similar pattern, and I hate to be the most pessimistic of pessimism that you could possibly get, the way this is going looks like we'll get to the end of the season, we'll implode, we won't get top four, Ronaldo will leave, RANGNICK won't even do the 2 years in the consultancy role. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it honestly feels like it's gonna snowball. Now, one thing I do want to kind of touch on before we leave is saying, look, football's a crazy game, and it is only, 6 games under RANGNICK? 5, 6, whatever it is. And like, they are waiting to try and buy into his principles, etc. And you're hoping that something clicks. But when you get things like that the leaks are, and from big sources, Sky, like we say, they don't go big on things unless they've got I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact, that they don't get involved with a journalist from Norway said this, but he's got a tick, so let's report it. Or a journalist from South America quickly said about this, so let's report it. They get their own sources, and they've got good relationships with the football clubs that they don't want to sever. They don't go big on stuff unless they've got a real big source. And for Sky, because Sky usually, that's why they're quite late to the party with something that we might have been knowing for a while, because they really make sure before they go with it, because they've got such a big responsibility. And I feel like for them to come out with something like that, that the players are they just don't think this guy's right and stuff like that. Well, you know, what does that say? What that is so damning. That is so damning for a manager who we can see speaks a good game. We know that he's got a good track record in terms of, you know, being like the father figure to Klopp and Tuchel and stuff like that. Well, that's great. He speaks about the game in a refreshing way. I mean, in that first press conference, we were all sold. And it makes it worse because in every single press conference he does, pre and post, all he speaks about is the same thing in 6 games. Balance, control, physicality, intensity.
Body language. Keep saying body language. Basically, is him saying, by the way, these guys are a bunch of moaners. Not trying out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're saying body language. You know, I do want to point out Flex as well. Over 1,700 people watching. Smash the like on the like button as well.
Let's do that. Yeah, we're near the end of the stream. How many likes we got now? We got only 360 odd likes. God, thank God Josh / Mike Phelan wasn't here. He would have
he's
paused
busy.
this.
He's unifying. That's what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
He's unifying. He's charging iPads. He's handing out the tangerines. He's figuring out what's going on. Can we
get these lights up, guys? We got to do that. Humphrey says disagree with Pogba. It hasn't worked. Let's move on and free up the funds. Also let Donny van der Beek, Mata, Tony, Matic go. Free up some space to create better balance. Super chat from Victor. Victor says Man United in talks with Dortmund. Oh no, I've put that one up already. And I think agree with the Humphrey says agree with the. Oh no, we've read that one already. Okay, good. I think we're up to scratch with that as well. I'm just gonna double check. So I don't want anyone to miss. That was the Pogba one. And yeah, there you go. There you have it. Well, guys. Wicked show. It's a shame, you know, that we've had to, we don't want to come on here and be negative and stuff, but we have to call a spade a spade. We've got to look at what's going on, and that's all we can discuss, what's in front of us and what's been put in front of us. And unfortunately, this is what it was. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. We'll have a transfer view early tomorrow morning again. And we'll see you guys live with the latest rumors and goss. Yeah. Cam, big up. I don't think people are going to let you live that down, that De Gea one. I don't know.
Yeah. Might be a tough one. That. We'll see.
Yeah. Cam might put out a tweet later, said, I would like to apologise for my actions earlier on.
Yeah, formal statement.
Nah, don't. Just mate, that's your opinion.
I need a photo like the United players do.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Difficult stream. We go again.
Yeah.
It's tough. It wasn't the stream I wanted it to be, but we go again. I will work better for you guys. Photo of Cam clapping like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that is something I think Cam should do it. I think he should post.
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't. Peeps, we're out of here. Stay safe.